Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Ultimate Krang from the Ninja Turtles cartoon line from NECA Toys. Now all of the cartoon stuff is exclusive to Target and this guy is no exception, but instead of a 2-pack of figures, it's one larger figure which they call an Ultimate. So I think it's around $30 on its own, whereas the 2-packs are $52, something like that. So I just think this is really cool. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my friend Chris. No, I'm not thanking myself. Another person named Chris who found this for me. My Target's pretty terrible about stocks, so I would not have been able to get this otherwise. So thank you very much for hooking me up with that. But we got to talk about this packaging because I absolutely love this. It's made to resemble an old VHS cassette box. It says, like, if you're not familiar, so back in the 80s, early 90s, there was a company called FHE, which I think stood for Family Home Entertainment. And they were the ones that put out all of the Ninja Turtle VHS cassettes. So, you know, you'd get a volume with 1 or 2 episodes on it. And this is exactly, I mean, I can't tell you how perfectly they replicated this packaging. The font is perfect. You know, they have NECA written in the FHE logo. That's exactly how FHE had it written. It even says, like, volume down here on the bottom. The back looks very similar where you had, like, a larger picture and then maybe a couple scenes from episodes or something like that. So I can't tell you how perfectly they replicated this. It's phenomenal and I absolutely love it. And again, I think they did the same with Metalhead. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get him yet. Hopefully he's on the way. But this is just such beautiful packaging. I absolutely love it. And you can go ahead and open it up. It has a little bit of Velcro. And you can see the figure inside. So here's a nice like press shot of it. And then here is the figure itself. So you can see we get Krang's android body. You get a little Krang, you get a little baby Shredder. You get a ton of accessories down here. So I am super psyched for this. This looks like a lot of fun. I think they did quite a good job. But we'll see how it goes once we get it out of the box. So I'm going to open this up and then we'll take a closer look. So here is Krang out of the packaging. And he looks perfect. I mean, they did a really, really nice job with this. Looks exactly like I remember from the cartoon. All the like goofy panel lining and all the details are perfect. Krang fits inside perfectly. There's goofy glasses for the head, the little pitchfork on top, tuning fork, whatever you want to call it. Really, really well done. So articulation wise, the head's on kind of a ball joint. You can see it swivels all around there, no problem. Nice big hinge joints and swivel for the shoulders. And they're really nice and fluid. I feel like I noticed with NECA, the larger the figure, a little bit more fluid the joints are. Maybe because they're bigger, more solid, I don't know. You can see a little bit of paint flaking already in my elbow, which is kind of a bummer. The joint moves nice, but you can kind of see how the paint's starting to flake off there, so that's kind of a bummer. But still nice. You have a swivel. And you have a 90-degree bend there in the elbow. So if you leave it like that, you're not even really going to see it, but that is kind of a bummer. Am I seeing it over on this side? Yeah, a little bit. Not as bad, but a little bit. Hands can, of course, rotate, and they have a hinge as well. And, of course, he comes with a ton of different hand accessories. We'll get to that in a little bit. You do have a waist swivel down here. You have, I guess that's a ball joint in the actual hip. And then you have a thigh swivel underneath that. Now, unfortunately on mine, the, like, we'll call them his red underwear, tend to kind of, like, dip in. When you're moving this around, you can kind of see how that just kind of popped in there. And then you kind of have to, like, get tweezers or something to kind of pop it back out. It's not a huge problem, but it's a little annoying. I don't notice it so bad on this side. I don't know why. I don't really have a problem with it over there. Double jointed knees, and I have to say my knees were a little tight. It was kind of funny. The lower knee on this part and then the upper knee on this part were very, very stiff, and I had to be very careful. But once you can kind of like move them, I think it's like 'cause sometimes paint gets in the joints and that causes it to lock up. But once you can kind of break that and move them around, then they're nice. They're nice and fluid after that. And then you have a hinge and a kind of rotation side to side in the ankle. Now he's a little top heavy, so finding a pose to get him to stand is not always the easiest, but you can get it done. And he just looks really good. I'm really, really happy with this. To get Krang in and out, you actually take him apart in the middle. So let's see, do you want to cooperate? There you go. this just comes off like that. You can see it just kind of clips in a couple places. He's got some indentations on the top. And then you can just pop Krang out. And he's got, you can see just a kind of an empty hole there to peg onto that. And then you can just kind of fit the hands on the two controls there. And the controls are actually on tiny little ball joints, so they actually move around. That's really cool. Before we get into all his accessories, I wanted to compare this Krang to the one that comes in the little Walker 2-pack with Donatello. So here is the little Walker that came in the 2-pack with Donatello. So if we open this up and we pop this Krang out, you can see he's actually a little smaller. And I think the new one is a little bit more show accurate. I mean, this one really looks like the cartoon to me. This one was okay, but with the shading and everything, it looked a little off. But I think this one is perfect. I think they really did a good job with the new one. Now, obviously, he looks a little weird because he doesn't have his hands in. But you can actually, the hands on the new one are just little ball joints as well. So you could pop these off. And I guess you could pop them in here. Are they the same size? Yeah, they are. Now, obviously, it looks a little weird because the shade is not the same. But you could mix and match them if you wanted to. The other thing is I wanted to try to put the new Krang in the Walker. Now, like I said, this one is smaller. So as you can see, this one's honestly quite a bit bigger. And I believe, unfortunately, because of that, he is not going to fit in here. It looks really close. I mean, kinda. He doesn't fit all the way down, and I kind of feel like if I force him, he's going to get stuck in there. So yeah, unfortunately, he's a little too big. I'm sure if you wiggle him around, he might be able to. And I mean, you can kind of do it and not have it close all the way if you're fine with something like that. But like I said, I feel like he's not quite small enough to fit. Now, I'll be honest, I have trouble getting the smaller one in here as well. So it could just be that, you know, if I push this down far enough, he will. But I really don't want to get him stuck in there. So I'm going to conclude that he kind of doesn't really fit. But like I said, trying to get this one back in sometimes I have difficulty with. Now, this one had a little indentation on the bottom, so you could fit that little, like, tripod, you know, thing that he had going on when he was on the show before he got his body and he wasn't in this thing. There we go. So it's kind of hard to get him back in there, to be honest, but I think this is just a little too big. But I will say that I think they did a much better job with this one as far as making it look exactly like the cartoon. I think this one looks really good. Now, this one looks fine, too. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with this one. I just think this one's even better. So, kind of happy that they improved on it. A little bummed that this one can't fit in the Walker. But, you know, at least I have one that can. And this one looks perfect in the Android body. So, just wanted to do a little comparison with those real quick. So this guy has a ton of accessories, and they're all really, really neat. I'm going to go through a couple real quick. He comes with these little blueprints, which I actually think are pretty cool. So this is the blueprint for the Android body. And then he comes with a blueprint for what I believe is the Knucklehead. I'm assuming they can't actually print anything on here, or maybe they just wanted to keep it generic on purpose. I'm not really sure. But those are pretty cool. So that's two little blueprints if you want to have kind of Krang hold them or something. Or, you know, when you... It reminds me of, like I said, that little tripod piece that came with the other one. He was kind of, you know, rolling around on that, nagging Shredder to build his body for him, from what I remember from the original cartoon. So other accessories here. We have a tiny baby Shredder. Now, I know this was an episode, I just don't remember which episode, where something happened that, you know, de-aged him. And he turned into this little baby. And I don't remember exactly what episode it was, but this is a really, really neat accessory. So it's kind of a tiny figure in its own right, because it does have some articulation. I mean, the head's on a ball joint, so you can move that all around side to side. You have kind of a hinge and swivel in the arms. And then you have one big, just kind of bend there in the waist, so he can sit like 90 degrees. But it's really nicely done. It's nicely detailed. It looks great. I'm not really sure why the blades on his shoulder pads had that like rust on them when that's not really present anywhere else on the figure. It kind of looks weird. I wish they were just kind of painted normally white. I assume they were going for something there, but I would have been fine if they were just painted white. It just makes them look dirty because it's not present anywhere else. But it's still a really cool little figure, so very happy with that. Of course, he's got some additional hands. So he's got a set of, not quite fists, but I don't know, pretty closed hands. I don't know. I don't know if these are supposed to hold anything specific. They just kind of look small to me. And again, I'm getting paint flakes like crazy because NECA always paints their joints, and then when you try to move them, they flake everywhere. I know they need to paint the accessories, but I don't know. Could we just mold them out of red plastic maybe? So that, especially in this case, I feel like there's no reason that this couldn't have been just molded in red plastic. So you didn't have to, even if you just, this piece, and maybe this piece is molded out of red plastic, but there's always like, you know, plastic flashing or paint flakes that go everywhere, and it gets all over the place. I'm picking it out still. Then you have this kind of open hand set, which I'm assuming looks like it's for grabbing things, you know, maybe turtles' arms or legs, or grabbing them around the throat or something. Look at this. Look at all this paint that's just coming off in my hand as I touch this. This is gross. All right, anyway. So we have these two, so it's 3 sets of hands in total, because obviously he's got these super open hands right now, and then you have those 2 sets of hands. So 6 overall, pretty good. Moving on, he's got some other hand accessories that aren't technically hands, but do peg into the hand sockets. So let's go ahead and take one of these off so we can check out some of these. He's got this axe, which I think is very nicely painted. And if you remember, not so much later on in the series, I mean, I guess occasionally, but when he was first introduced, he had a lot of powers. I guess I use the term powers, but functions of his suit that he doesn't really display very often. And his hand would like swivel around real fast and turn into various objects. So I think that's what they're trying to replicate here. So you have this axe, which I think looks really cool. You get one of those. You have this mace, or ball and chain, whatever you want to call this. This is really cool. I mean, they did a nice job. It's painted great. The chain is perfect. And that just pegs in here. It's a little difficult just because it's hard to grab onto, but there you go. Once you get that in. And he comes with 2 of those, actually. So you can have one on each arm if you want, which I think is really, really cool. But that just looks really neat. I really like that a lot. I mean, you can swing it around. The chain works perfectly. So very nicely done with that. He does come with these, like, I guess these are lasers? I'm assuming that's what they are. So we're going to go ahead and peg that in as well. So he's got laser guns, and he does come with 2 of those as well. And then he's got one last arm accessory here. And this is this kind of like saw blade. And it spins, which is pretty cool. And you can just peg that right in. He only comes with 1 of these. But pretty cool. I like that. I love all the different hand accessories because, like I said, he really did have that, especially when he was first introduced, that first episode. He really did have all those different hand accessories. Now, he also had one that like turned into almost like a walkie-talkie looking thing, because I remember he contacted Shredder one time, and that would have been neat to include. And there was also a time where his, whoops, he's about to fall over. His entire arms turned into wings, and he just kind of like glided around. Now, I don't know if that would have been something they could have done. You would have probably had to take off the arms completely, and they didn't want to get into that, so I understand. But that would have been really neat if they could have included something like that where his whole arms turned into those wings, because that also happened on the show. But still, an incredible array of accessories here. Now, he does have a few more accessories. I'm going to put them all on and just kind of surprise you with it because they're kind of ridiculous. So yeah, he comes with shower outfit. I guess there was one episode where Shredder contacted the Technodrome and Krang was complaining, you know, I just got out of the shower, you caught me just getting out of the shower. And so, in true NECA fashion, because NECA loves their references to the truly ridiculous, which I can appreciate, they included these shower accessories. Now, this towel is literally just a piece of felt. There's nothing special to it. I kind of just have it, you know, around the back and tucked into itself. It's just a piece of felt. So there's nothing special here, but I appreciate it. I think it's hilarious. So I'm just going to fold that up and put that off to the side. You get this soap on a rope that just fits around his neck. And then you have this like shower hat. Now how this works is you have to like you pick this up, and basically you have to take the tuning fork off of the head, put this on, and then put it back through, and it will actually still go all the way through and peg into the head. So you have to make sure you take the tuning fork off. Now with taking this off and on, you might lose one. They did include a second one in the packaging. I don't remember if I've mentioned that or not yet, but they do give you a second one, which is nice because I guess they feel like of all the accessories, that's the one you're most likely to lose. But here's a close-up look at the... I'm not too familiar with shower hats, but I guess this is some way to, dry your hair or something. I'm not really sure. But I just think these accessories are absolutely ridiculous and hysterical. So I applaud NECA. They always love... If there's a goofy reference they can throw in, they always do. And I appreciate that because it really makes it feel like they're having as much fun with it as we are. And I appreciate that. I think that's really cool. So, yeah, I really love this thing. It's fantastic. I think they did a really nice job. The only thing, like I said, the paint flakes, but that's not exclusive to this figure. That's really all of NECA's figures, unfortunately, have that paint flaking problem. Now, the nice thing is, for the most part, it doesn't usually do anything to hinder how the figure looks, because it's usually like in joints that you don't really see, or, maybe on hands or things, but it's not usually flaking off in key areas. It's usually in joints, whether it's elbow joints, wrist joints, maybe the back of the knee joint. So that's not so much a problem, but it's still just messy, and I don't care for it. But that's like my really only complaint. He looks fantastic. Krang looks fantastic. Having him open in the middle so you can put Krang in, I think, is a good idea because it doesn't, detract from the figure at all, and you almost can't even tell that's how it works. The one thing I will say is there's not really anywhere to tell you that on the packaging. Like, I don't know how you would figure out how to put him in there otherwise, because it doesn't really tell you. I just learned it from watching other videos, so hopefully my video will do the same for somebody else, because otherwise it's not super apparent that that's how you take him apart, and if you just try to feed him in through this area, it wouldn't really work. I'm also kind of glad they didn't bother trying to put a screen or anything across this, because I feel like that would have just caused glare, and it probably just would have looked not that great, because it would have been either some kind of translucent plastic or something. I think it was just a smart move to just completely leave that open. I think that was the right call on that. So, you know what? Let's do real quick before we head out of here. Let's do a few size comparisons and whatnot. Here is NECA Donatello. So you can see, I feel like that's a pretty good scale with the turtles, as far as almost double the size, really. And I think that makes sense for what we have going here. And then just for fun, here is a Super 7 Ultimate Raphael, which I feel like still works. I think the NECA scale is a little better. The Super 7's not bad, but I think the NECA one's a little bit better in scale, which of course makes sense because both of these products are from NECA, so I think that works. And then here is the Krang Walker in comparison with the body. So, just wanted to do a little bit of size comparison there just to give you an idea. So, I think he's great. I really do like this release quite a bit. Hopefully people who want one will be able to find one, because like I said, it is a Target exclusive. And I think originally they told us that this was getting pushed back to 2021, but then people were finding it at the end of 2020, like in December. And we're only about, a week and a half maybe into 2021 here, and people are finding it, but I don't think it's officially supposed to be out yet. So I'm also hoping at some point it'll go up on their website. Usually with NECA releases, there's an appointed time and it goes up for half an hour, and if you miss it, you're done, which is a shame. I wish the distribution was a little bit better than that, but what are you going to do? But this is a good figure. I definitely recommend picking it up. Like I said, the only complaint I really have is the paint flaking, but again, that's across all NECA figures, so no reason to single out Krang for this one. It's a great release. He looks fantastic. The accessories are fantastic. That's all I really have to say. This guy's great. If you can find him, I definitely recommend grabbing him and adding him to your collection. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.